So the story here follows a family, the Willoughbys, that I would say is rather dysfunctional. The parents are very self-centered and unloving, and the children are therefore more or less neglected. They're left to take care of themselves, so they basically have to stick together. This then of course leads to an adventure of sorts as they begin to try to deal with the situation. And all sorts of shenanigans ensue, and I would say that this one doesn't lack action and things happening. It's a very tightly packed movie with a lot of quick, energetic editing, which keeps the pace up too. And if this has one thing going for it, it's that it's not boring. Quite the opposite actually. But fortunately it also has a few other things going for it as well, because it's actually rather funny. I really enjoyed the humor in this. It's kinda dark at times, I wouldn't call it light-hearted. Which I guess brings me to the question, who exactly is it aimed at? Because from what I understand it's based on a children's book, but it doesn't really feel like a kid's movie. I mean, it's not filled with cursing and sex and gory violence or anything like that. But at the same time, as I said, it does get kinda dark, and I feel like a lot of the humor wouldn't necessarily resonate with children. Now, on the surface, it's a PG-rated animated movie about a group of kids. So one would assume it's trying to go for a younger audience, but I'm a little bit skeptical about that. Because just based on how much I enjoyed it, the humor especially, I'm just not convinced kids would like it as much, but then again, I might be wrong. Maybe the stuff that goes over their head just does exactly that, and there's still enough in there for them to enjoy as well. I don't know, but yeah, I definitely liked this quite a bit actually. And not only for the comedy, but also the story itself and the characters and everything about the writing. It just has a lot of heart to it, and structurally it works too. It's compelling. I also like the score a lot, which was interesting because you can't really pin it down. It's not any one thing. Sometimes it's this fun jazzy big band stuff, and sometimes it's straight up electronic music. It just went with whatever worked for that particular scene. And somehow it still managed to feel coherent and not all over the place. Which I guess brings me to the animation itself, which I also liked quite a bit. And much like the movie Missing Link, I wasn't entirely sure if this was stop motion or not. Now, Missing Link turned out to have been stop motion, and some of the best stop motion I've ever seen. However, this one is actually CGI made to look like stop motion. And you know, there were a few giveaways, a few things that made me fairly convinced it was CGI from the beginning. But then at times it looked exactly like stop motion, so it had me a little bit puzzled there. But yeah, it doesn't really matter how it was made, because it was still very well made. Now, obviously stop motion on the level that Laika does it is still way more impressive to me, mainly just because of the commitment to the art form and the ridiculous amount of work that goes into it. And this on the other hand just mimics it, which isn't nearly as impressive. And it is a lot easier to animate a 3D character than a puppet, it just is. But this does do a good job at replicating that feel and the aesthetic of it. And at the end of the day I liked it, so I don't want this to come across as a complaint. And in general too, I didn't really have any legit issues with it. I thought it was very well made and fun to watch. But does that mean I would recommend it? Definitely, and even as a family movie it might work. I can't say for sure, but it might work, so you know, maybe give it a shot or maybe don't. After all, I'm not your dad. But hey, what are your thoughts on this? Have you seen it? Did you like it? Let me know. And if you enjoyed the video, maybe give it a thumbs up or sub to the channel, because that would be fantastic. And if you'd like, you can also support me on Patreon or PayPal through the links in the description. And as always, I appreciate you and thanks for watching.